Alright, today let's do one of the things I hear the most requests for. How do you make a simple spoon? So here's how I would make a simple spoon. Check the temperature of my kiln. Yeah, coffee feels like it's about the right temperature. So go ahead and take the glass out of the kiln. I'm going to grab a little bit of 4mm. There's a little remnant from another project on there. Tap that off into the water. And then put on a really good punty. Welding up to cobalt, a lot of times it just takes a lot more heat to get that cobalt up and moving, and where it'll really hold a punty on well. So when you're working with cobalt, be sure to get it hot enough. And then I'm lining it up by rotating it in the corner of the little arrowhead marver, and where the 4mm is resting and where the cobalt tube is resting, any wobble becomes readily apparent. It's really easy to repair by resting it in that little fold, or the back plate and the front plate. So a tight little ring of heat. You don't want to go wide side to side. You just want to condense down a narrow little neck of this. So just a lot of direct heat on it, and then I'll drop it onto the marvering pad and crimp it down a little bit so that it's much more narrow. Trying out some experimental filterage here. So you don't want to close it up. You want to leave about an 8 or 9mm hole through the center there. But now I've delineated where the two projects are going to be. There's an even amount of glass on both, and it's easy enough to work that front piece while still welded up to the back one. It's not that heavy, and in fact it just gives you a little distance from the heat while you're working it. Since I know I'm going to make two different little hand pipes out of this, I'm going to the second piece first, and I'm going to stretch out what will be the mouthpiece on that, the handle and the mouthpiece. So a lot of heat back there, a little bit more up there, and I'm kind of biasing the heat towards that right side because I want, when it pulls out, for it to taper down to the right, leaving me a decent amount of glass with which to make the flattened mouthpiece. So just spin, 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 spin. And then using the marvering pad, delineating exactly where the little flattened mouthpiece is going to be. And then I'll probably flip the pad over on the side, and there we go, and straighten that up just a little bit and watch it. Also, putting it in that pad and rotating against it helps chill the glass just a little bit and make it set up firm just a little bit quicker. And you can move on to your next step. So same thing here. I'm going to stretch this one out, and then I'll finish this one, and then when I return to that next one, because I've already pulled it out, I will not need to go through the step of hooking a punty up to the front of it to pull it out. One punty has done both pipes. Anything you can do to save time when you make a lot of them, well, that'll save you a lot of time. There we go. We'll do that again on that one. Marver it down to neck it to the right size, and then pull that pad over and straighten it up and true it up at the same time, chilling it down a little bit right there. Quick move. Now it's set up enough that we can knock off that punty. So you can tap it off. Sometimes it just pop off. Cobalt's good about not liking the punties. So then a big flame, I'm just going to melt that whole thing in and condense it down so that the wall thickness is much larger, or much thicker, and it'll be much more round instead of tubular. And at that point we can blow it out and create a nice even wall thickness compared to the handle and mouthpiece. But the idea is you really want to keep that wall thickness even throughout. Sorry, I'm looking a little bit high there, but watching the end of it there as I'm blowing on it to get it to the right size. Having a mirror near you so that you can see yourself in profile and see what that tube is doing from the side is really helpful. You can see that in the background. So set up a little mirror and use it for looking at things from the profile. So we're going to blow the bowl hole. So heat up a little spot, bring it over to the side, and blow it out. There we go. I'm going to pick out the bowl punch and heat up the area around that hole. Basically, you just want the handpipe hanging straight down into the flame so that you're not tilting it to one side or the other. It will droop before it's ready to push if you're too uneven. So I'm blowing into it while pushing it down, and that helps the glass to not collapse but rather come up and fold around the push. Then we'll heat up the bottom to flatten that so it doesn't roll. You got to visualize having a flattened mouthpiece, so don't go all the way under that round. It's a little bit too tall. All right, and this is where the cleaning hole is going to be, as they used to say. It's a carb hole. For those of you who don't know what a carb hole is, yes, you can apply a lot of these skills to making stuff besides glass beads. Alright, so we rounded it out. There is a basic handpipe. It needs to be removed from the handle, but that's an easy step. It's a little bit too plain. A little bit of embellishment is in order. So just put on some dots and a few spots on the dots, and it'll be something. It'll be functional and kind of elegant. They are very strong. I've had these hit concrete many times and survive. Clean up your rods and stuff as you work. That quick little motion down onto the pad, that really cleans it up and gets it ready for the next use. And I know you're in a hurry while doing this, but you won't be in any more of a hurry the next time you go to reach for it. So yeah, clean up your work as you go. Keep it clean. Alright, preheating the claws just a little bit, letting that bowl area cool down just a little bit. We don't want to deform it when we grab any of that. There we go. Snug it up, leave a little bit of spring tension on those claws. Don't crank it down too far, just enough to hold it even. And then again, a really tight ring of flame right there where the two are hooked together. And this time we'll cut it completely in half, and it'll leave a closed hole. Well, there won't be a hole, it'll just be closed on the end of the mouthpiece where we're going to want a hole. That's okay. Put that back in the kiln so it's ready for the next one. And grab a little bit of 4mm, heat up the end of it, and I'm going to marver it down too, just to clean it up so it's ready to go in evenly and create a real nice hole in that small end. So just heat up the material you want to remove, stick that 4mm rod into it, pull it back out in the flame, and it will remove material every time. Sometimes you can get it the first time, sometimes it takes a few passes, but you will wind up with a nice even hole. I'm going to round that up with that little octagonal reamer. That'll make the hole just perfectly round. There we go. So now we need only to flatten it. So grab a pair of tweezers there. They've got little flat pads on the end, and I'll heat up what's going to be the flattened mouthpiece. Quite a bit of flame, get it nice so that you can get it all in one pass. There we go, looking down it, back and forth, that flattens it out, and then the back end of the tweezer down the hole makes a real nice rectangular kind of a profile hole. People claim that it's really nice. It does tend to keep any smoke off of the teeth, prevents teeth browning, and it's more comfortable. I like them. They're more aesthetically pleasing. And off into the kiln with it. So that's how we make a simple little spoon. Thank you. I hope you enjoy.